And we're live. So, okay.
Hello, gents.
Hey there.
How we doing, fellas?
Very, very good. Very, very good. Bottom 8. How good is bottom 8 going to be?
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. I haven't anticipated so much something in a long time. The build-up is awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I gotta just get the excitement off my chest. This tournament for me is the tournament that I've never had a tournament like this before. I'm looking forward to this so much. It's crazy. There is so much in this for me. Yeah, man, I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
What's going on with you guys?
So Dave, you want to jump in? I'm just going to get the chat up. I'm just trying to get the chat.
Yeah, I'm just
set up. Ryan Bowen from Pound for Pound. My second opponent after I beat Juji.
Very good. I like it.
I would also like to thank the Arnold Classic winner, beat Moser, which was amazing. Thank you, both yous. If I can give you a hug and a kiss, I would, but I'm not going to right now.
No worries, buddy. I'm a big fan, man. I'm glad to come on and support.
Thanks. I am the underdog, even worse than even got my cane. So, I'm 56 years old, looking to shock the world.
King, I have to admit, you kind of like crept in. I didn't know who you were until you started sending private video messages to me, and then I hear that you're sending private video messages to everyone, and you're like this. You're like this
it's
entity.
A free world. It's a free world. I could be like sending you like nude shots, but I'm sending you other stuff.
Yeah, you're sending me. We
got
beaver balls instead. Stuff. That's all good.
Yeah. All right, peace out, buddy.
Oh, man.
I'm done talking for now. Let's let.
Yeah. So okay. So now we got the comments up and working now. So that's a good thing. We had some issues in our prior few shows. So. There we go. So I think it's all rocking. That's good to see. So now,
very good. All right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sort out my PC as well. It's playing up, but anyway, I'll share it as soon as I get that working. But
yeah,
I'm working on it now. I'm getting it out here. So
yeah. I seen it just pop up with the share. So
yeah, we'll put it on the NL page. See what Travis thinks of that.
Awesome. Everybody, I'm saying hi to everybody.
What happened with Travis and Dave? Did they pull or what?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I don't think so.
I feel like we would have heard if they did pull. I thought it was crazy. I didn't even know it was going to happen, and then that's a big match for Dave especially. Yeah,
it was kind of under publicized, so I don't know. Not a whole lot of people knew about it until like a week ago.
Yeah,
but I haven't heard anything. So if they pulled, I'm pretty sure there would be video out.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Yeah, so this is our 5th episode, and just for all our viewers, we're here with Ryan Blue Bowen, the creator of Pound for Pound, the strong arm ginger of Australia with the middle name Blue. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Do you guys know? Do you guys get a lot of people don't get the Blue reference? Do you guys get it?
I don't. I was actually curious. That was actually one of my questions. Where does that name come from? So that was.
It's a classic Australian term from kind of World War I. It was given to any soldier that had red hair. But so I was in the military. I was at the top of a rope in like 3 weeks into basic training, and the PTI didn't know my name, so he just said, "Hey, Blue." So it stuck ever since then. So it was a military nickname, and then it just blended into the arm wrestling world as well. Yeah,
awesome.
It's like calling Jonathan Laba Tiny or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, too funny. And we're also here with Paul Linn, who demolished at the Arnold's this year.
Yeah, no demolishing. I got by on the skin of my teeth, but it was fun. It was fun.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, with I think you're going on your third year now, right? Or
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, my phone's just ringing. Hang on, 1 second. Sorry about that. Just had Chris Gobby call me.
nice.
Yeah. The delivery.
I'll get to him later.
Yeah. He's like, "What the crap are you guys doing?" Oh,
You
I see
better
him
leave.
enjoying chat there. He's watching now.
You guys all got that ringtone downloaded yet, or what?
Yeah, I know. I want that on my phone.
Girls on it?
haven't set it up yet.
Yeah, you know it's gonna be his entry song at Bowen, mate. He is gonna walk out to that.
Ryan, are you guys starting the first match in the hook, or is that going to be later on?
You know, like, okay, so I want to be able to do that, but because there's $2,000 effectively on the line, I'm gonna pin the man really fast, and after I've won the tournament, I'll come back and start in a hook again with him. I'll give him another shot at it. But okay, let's just do the Chris Gobby thing right now, because I know that I shared that. It's probably my favorite thing to talk about right now. So Chris Gobby. I said I was going to give my honest opinion of Chris Gobby. So there's kind of two sides to the story. There's the troll Chris Gobby, and then there's the arm wrestler Chris Gobby. So for anyone who doesn't know the story of me and Chris, it started when I was like probably 3 months into the sport. I was super public about my ambitions. I was like jumping on Arm Wrestling John Engine forums and telling everyone about all the stuff I'm doing. I'm raving about technique being more important than strength. And Chris is crucifying me. He is crucifying me, and he is triggering me hard. Like, I was falling for everything that Chris was doing. All classic Chris Gobby stuff was hammering me. So I tried my hardest to keep up with it and justify what I was doing. I'm defending myself. I'm falling for all the Chris Gobby traps. And the bottom line was, Devin Larratt jumped into that forum one day and said, "Look, dude, I'd put $1,000 right now on the Blue beats Chris Gobby in an arm wrestling super match." And from then on, Chris took it to the next level, where I think for a period of time I was his number one target, because I triggered so hard, and I was like this loudspeaker amateur that didn't really know much about the sport, but was kind of claiming to. So I'll admit that Chris very rightly hammered me for a long time. But as I then blocked the dude, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle that Chris Gobby was too good at what he does, and I blocked him for like 2 years. And
you blocked him.
I did. I was one of those weak people that blocked him. But you know, over that 2 years, I think I've turned into pretty much Chris's worst nightmare, because Chris described me as that quintessential amateur who knows nothing about the sport, who thinks he does, and will never, in fact, be anything in the sport. And we fast forward a few years, we unblock each other, and now we've got this super match. And to be honest, like, my right arm it's just going to be so easy to pin Chris Gobby. Like, I respect the man as an arm wrestler fully. I know he's been pulling 15 years. I think technically he's very sound. He's very astute. He can talk about the vectors, the angles of the sport better than almost anyone. And so I acknowledge and agree and fully support the man as an arm wrestler and his technical capabilities. He's a hook puller, a specialist in that regard. I'll happily start in straps with him. I know that is something that he'd need against me anyway. So we'll strap up. I'll give him that, but I'm not going to go bone on bone in a fully supinated hook, even though I'm confident I could sit there. That'll gas me out too much, but I'm just going to pin him very basically low hand top roll. I'm just going to be too strong for him, and he's going to be too short, too little.
Well, I'll take you not wanting to start in a bone on bone hook as just a courtesy of respect towards him. So I think,
look,
right.
absolutely.
I mean, if I got to look at it and I'm a betting man, and I'm saying, like, you know, who's going to win this match based on forearm length, body weight, all those things, all the tangible things, the measurables, you know, you got to make you the favorite. However, my short time in arm wrestling, I've known Chris Gobby to upset some monsters, and his list of like wins is pretty ridiculous. And
yeah,
and even even the first super match I think he was in with Josh Grant when I first started arm wrestling, watching Hand Control, who was a post style top roll, low hand top roll, long forearm, 198, 220 guy.
Yeah, who
competes at a world level. I'm pretty sure Chris shut him down. So there's that piece of me that's like, man, this is like the match I want to see in the bottom 8, like the primary one. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
I agree that match with Josh. I think Josh was just as confident as I am going into this match, and it backfired. So I respect Chris wholeheartedly as a tactician, and I respect his strength in a specific arm wrestling sense as well. I just think that that's all. I feel like I'm a super versatile puller. Chris will say that I don't hook, and it's true. I always protect my pronation. I'm always high hooking. I very rarely, unless I'm taking on someone taller than me, which obviously this is not the case. If someone's taller than me, then yeah, I'll use a traditional hook vector and force people in on that fully supinated ridge. But against Chris, for me to go into that fully supinated position is just asking for biomechanical trouble,
right.
And just it'd be crazy to do that.
I don't blame you with money on the line and really wanting to win the tournament. There's no, in a tournament and just for the sake of wanting to win, there's no way that I would, say to you, hey, why wouldn't you go into a hook with them? I just know that a lot of trash talk is going on. Here's my question.
I would say, regardless of what happens in the tournament, whether I win it or I don't, as soon as that tournament is finished, the next person I'm pulling is Chris Gobby. We're starting in the straps in a hook, fully supinated, and I'm going to hold that. I'm going to hold that man, and he's going to either pin himself or I'm going to pin him with 3 pounds of pressure.
I want to see it bone on bone. I want to see it bone on bone. No little high hook pronation. Yeah. I want to see it bone on bone.
Yeah, I'll finish with a press. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but anyway, look, the one more thing on Chris Gobby before, like, as an arm wrestler, full respect. As a troll, I actually have a lot of respect for him as well. Weirdly enough, the dude is extreme. He will cross every line known to mankind to win a trolling battle. And like I said, I was someone who was triggered hard at first, and I eventually finally learned the lesson. So thank you, Chris. You are a teacher in that respect, that you just got to accept and deflect with Chris. You just got to embrace it. So if you are getting hammered by Chris and you're hearing this right now, just trust me, just roll with it, because he's actually a real softie behind the scenes. And I got the screenshots to prove it, that he actually likes me and he respects me. So
he's a great guy, and he's super intelligent, and he knows the sport, and the training of the sport, all those things. It's easy early on when you don't know him and you're coming through the amateur ranks to get upset by the comments and everything. But I think at his heart, he means well. And he like I said, he's been nothing but great at answering my questions from day one.
Yeah.
So the guy's awesome, and he's an awesome puller. And I didn't even realize he was as old as he was. So for him,
well, he keeps on floating around with those. He keeps on floating those young, attractive profile pics around. So.
The Snapchat filters, it softens the face, and I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, but Chris is good. I look forward to pulling Chris. I look forward to having a beer with Chris, and I look forward to playing that bottom 8 Chris Gobby song as his walkout song. That's going to be the highlight for me.
Yeah. We're going to toss it to John Milton give to the DJ.
Yeah, well, look, no matter what happens, that's gonna be playing. That's gonna be playing loud and clear. So
that's awesome. Oh, too cool. Yeah. So, how about the other bottom 8 matches? What are your thoughts right now on the King versus Juji right now? So we'll start with that.
French King all day. He's gonna bust Juji's hand back. It's happening.
I have to agree, but you are a mystery king. Like you truly are an enigma. I don't know what's going on. It is, as Jonathan Lava said, very hard to get a read on you. I don't know if you can arm wrestle or not. I don't know if you can speak French or not. Like there's a whole lot I don't know about you, but I'm going with you as well.
Yeah. Well, he taught me to arm wrestle when I was a kid, and I can confirm that he's French for sure. I am too. We're both French Canadians, so we grew up in a little town called Astorville, and like it's just all French families there, pretty much.
I can tell you one thing, Ryan.
Yeah.
If I bring a beaver, you could pump it, but that's all. I want it back after.
Yeah, I'm keen to do some beaver pumping. I like it.
Bring a beaver. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, the match for me with King and Juji, for me, obviously Juji's an athlete in all respects, but he's still getting his head around the basics of arm wrestling at the end of the day. And I think that a little bit of expertise in the setup, you'll be able to lead him into a trap without him even realizing it. And his wrist will go, and he'll have no leverage, and he doesn't know how to pull with a dead wrist. And yeah, it'll be pretty simple for you, King, I think.
Ryan, have you met Juji yet?
Not yet. But I've got a fair bit of feedback from different people that have pulled him, and like I just hung with Devin obviously this weekend, and
Right.
and yeah, he's still a really new arm wrestler as far as I've heard. But yeah,
The girl beat him last week at the Arnold's. Is that true that a woman beat him at the Arnold's?
Yeah, was it Angela Matthews?
Angela Matthews, yeah. So.
All right. First off, Angela Matthews is a savage. Angela Matthews is like 180 and jacked, and is like one of the top women in this country. And I'm not. So Juji had a booth, right? And Juji's booth, like the line was like incredibly long. So his booth was a bunch of different grip things, so like grip sports stuff, and then at the end would be like a picture time and an opportunity to arm wrestle Juji. So this guy probably arm wrestled on that Saturday. That's after the Friday. Probably, I mean, literally thousands of times against these like off the street guys who are pretty jacked. And pretty much with every one of them, he would let them go and hold them. So the reality of it is yeah, Angela did pin him, but that's probably like 2,000 matches in on like the day. So I would say that I think that Juji has been trained up in a couple early sessions by some really good arm wrestlers, and he is by no means a novice. He is definitely like a high level amateur, and he's the amateur that's going to walk into any amateur tournament. And if there's no long time amateurs or no like really aspiring beat, Juji's going to win there, and I think he's going to win it even without his hand. So I mean, I think King, you got to be real careful. You can't make any mistakes. Don't let him get you on his side of the table at all. Because if he can side pressure at all, even without his hand, it's going to be trouble. Take him through his fingers and move him to your side a little bit, and then you have some wiggle room. But the guy with his shoulder behind his hand is definitely a stud.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. So so next, how about Laba and Evan? They're going.
Lava's pulling Adam. For me,
sorry, we had them on the show at the same time. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, what do you think, Ryan? What do you think? Honest opinion.
My honest opinion is very difficult for me to get a read on these two gentlemen. Reason being, I pulled Adam at the Louisiana event where I pulled Dan Mosier. Adam, I was trashed. I'd pulled Dan Mosier. I'd pulled the tournament. I'd after pulled with Craig Touye. I was beat. And then I gripped Adam, who hadn't pulled anyone, and he was able to largely control me at that stage. So I was able to kind of get stops, and he had to wait and get a bit patient to pin me. But there were stops. And then on the other hand, I pulled Jonathan Laba on the after table in Long Island, and he felt like a child, but I was fresh. So it's really hard. I was super fresh in one and super gassed in the other. So super hard to read. I would say Adam is a better arm wrestler in the way he moves. He's got a more complete package. He can go places where Jonathan's really relying on a strap and a pronation based almost King's moving style attack. And It's just is Lava strong enough to do that one option? I got a feeling that over a 5-round match, it'll be Artem that wins, because any degree of stop happens, then Artem's going to technically walk all over him.
Right. Artem just comment, AKA he destroyed you.
Yeah, I destroyed him. Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would agree with what you're saying. Like, Artem's the more versatile. He's the more the higher IQ arm wrestler for sure. I will say that Lava in the straps with his long forearm has beaten some very good arm wrestlers for sure. So, and I think he needs the strap. I think he needs that long forearm. He needs that post. I love both of these guys. I would love to see this end in a draw somehow. I know that can't happen, but I love both of them. They're awesome. I know you got them both on the payroll, so you got to stay neutral, don't you? See, Artem,
they're good guys.
I'm not going to pick against you like you pick against me.
Yeah, I think they're both good guys. It's gonna be an awesome match. I can't wait for that one. I'm gonna go with a 3-1 win to Artem after first round. The fresh Jonathan gets a win, but then he starts to gas with his one move. So yeah,
good call. So how about Craig and Evan now? What are your thoughts on that one?
The two strong big dudes.
Yeah, the big guys.
Yeah, like these guys, to me, Craig is, as Devin described, the Denis Saplenkov of the bottom 8. He's just that big, slow-moving brute force that if he dictates the angles of the match, then he's probably going to get the job done. I know that he can pin Evan if he gets that hook set fully. But Evan is a grinder. He's technically proficient. He'll pull in ugly positions, got a lot of resilience in his elbow. If any degree of stop happens in a flat hand position, then Evan's going to win that long game. And personally, I hope it goes there. The worst case scenario for me is that Craig Cebulia just boom, 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 three hits and it's over. And he's feeling pretty fresh when he moves through. I'd like to see him and Evan have a bit of a war, and then I'll clean up.
Gassed enough, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the toughest one to pick, I think. And obviously, Ryan, I do think you have the tools to potentially win this thing, or at least go to the finals for sure. But those two guys are kind of the heavy hitters. That matchup. Craig's so one-dimensional, but he trains his dimension so hard. Like, he trains his hook and he trains his hand in a top roll defense like a madman. I mean, the amount of videos he posts, he has every tool known to man. I see him do like a ridiculous amount of weight on certain things. And I've seen him compete with top level dudes and beat top level dudes. But then I've also seen him get top rolled, and I've also seen fatigue come into play with him. And then you take a look at Evan, and I think Evan can pull every angle possible, So, I mean, I love Craig, but if I'm a betting man, I think Evan's understanding and ability to pull in multiple different angles is probably what carried him on. And then when the later rounds of this tournament happen, those two heavier weight guys are going to have a major advantage, especially when fatigue is placed on the smaller arm wrestlers, I would think.
Yeah. Well, I think I got the best draw. Without a doubt, I got the best draw. I got the smallest guy in the room, round one. If all goes to plan, I get through him. And then, no offense to you, King, but I'm going to belt you if you're there in round 2 as well.
Remember our bet.
Oh, man.
Just remember the bet. If you lose, you drop out of arm wrestling for life.
Yeah, that's what we mentioned.
That's serious.
You dislike me that much, King, or what?
Hey, King, when you beat Juji, and when you beat Ryan, we're going to have a lot of laughs.
Ryan, you're cooking me bacon and eggs in the morning.
Yeah, that's a fair trade. I'll do that. I'll even.
You can still
guys eat
wrestle.
do you eat beaver as well?
You can still arm
Oh,
wrestle.
yeah, you can.
But
Definitely.
make me breakfast, bacon and eggs. That's all I ask. I'm the unknown here. I'm the unknown. Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson.
You actually look pretty ripped too. Like I saw a few reveals, and you got more muscle mass than I expected. I'll give you that.
56 years old, and I open up traps, steel traps, and I carry beaver. I chop holes in ice. I skin with my hands. I stop a lot of hearts. Unfortunately, what do you have to die.
What are you weighing now? What are you weighing now, King? What are you weighing right now?
If I beat you over easy eggs, don't overcook them.
What are you weighing right now, King? What do you weigh?
I just gained 8 pounds.
There we go.
My trainer has me on a protein diet. So creatine. He's given me, I don't laugh, but liquid calcium for my bones. So the bones can harden, and he's got me training basics. One move, that's it. So if you figure out my one move, I guess I'm fucked, but I got one move. I'm not one of these guys on these golden triangles. I'm just going to be going one move. That's it. Balls out.
Very good.
So we got a couple of questions here. I'm gonna pipe in here. We got a question from Fred Belanger asking the Arm Wrestling King if he's ever had any experience in straps yet.
The only straps I had was in a porno I did a long time ago. That's what I ever used.
Next question. Okay, well the next one isn't actually a question. It was more of a it was just a comment from Chris Gobby saying that no one trains more the wrong way than Craig. So, that was another notable one to kind of toss in there. I thought it was kind of funny. It's like
the best. One of the beautiful things about our sport is I love that you can train the wrong way, and it's still still counts for so much because it is such a messy sport in terms of what we're asking our elbow joints to do, and time is a beautiful thing. I think no matter, even if you're doing ugly stuff, you do it for a long time, your elbows get to a level of conditioning where it's pretty good. So you never know. Craig might be one of those 20-year veterans that does it messy, but he'll be brutal. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Now we got another one here. It says, "Stay out of the strap with Juji" from Brendan, Lemon Millville.
Well,
there you go.
Brendan was supposed to come down and he was supposed to train with me, and he had girlfriend problems. But yes, I will stay out of the strap.
Can you?
Juji will hang on. He'll hang on.
Yeah.
You don't need
Can
to
you pull out a?
Yeah.
King, can you do the exploding hand technique?
Am I allowed to grab his balls with my left hand?
What happens under the table stays under the table.
Just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, King. I think you need to have an exploding hand technique ready because I think he's gonna have too much side pressure outside of straps for you to be able to just pin him. So you gotta take that man's wrist and then force him to the back of the pad where his only options are to elbow foul or remain in that ugly wrist compromised position, Cobra Road style.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I love Cobra.
Yeah. Bad man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So now that we've covered the bottom 8, let's go on to some questions for Paul now. Now, you've got a master's in kinesiology and physiology, and you got a lot of experience with training, and was able to catch some of your videos on training. And I think that for a lot of our viewers, we got a lot of people who have some experience, but we also have a lot of people who have, that are just getting interested in the sport again and might be looking to start out. And we want to kind of cover some of that. And I think that would be an awesome topic to get going on.
Right. So I started, I guess, about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I started the arm wrestling training group here on Facebook. I just kind of started it because I had like tons of questions early on, and a lot of them were real dumb, and I couldn't really go to these elite pullers until I sought them out. So I was wanting to train before I understood, like, even how to train. So other than looking at Devin Lara videos on YouTube, I had no clue how to train or if I was doing things right. So like when Gabi talks about like, training really hard the wrong way, that's definitely what I was doing. Did I make gains at that time? Probably. So anyway, I made this group like after, I guess I was about a year in or so, maybe a little bit more. And just to try and help the new guys that I was getting, and just try and put like a one-stop shopping place where people could post questions, ideas, or where to find a group, whatever it may be, and keep it focused on the things that I was trying to figure out and trying to learn when I was starting on. So as far as like advice to anybody who's watching, who's a new arm wrestler, find that group. Obviously, we got some Herman and Gavi are like moderators on there. So is Artem. So they have the admin rights now. We kind of take out the stuff that isn't arm wrestling training related. So obviously you're going to get a little bit of, they're going to tell you the hard truth, and they're not always going to be as nice as you may want to hear. And then I'll try, but we have a good balance on there. There's a lot of positivity and a lot of like, brutal honesty as well. But that group has been huge. So as far as the general like fitness background that I come from, it's coming from a sports specific football background and a general, anatomy and physiology base. So I understand the basics of those things. But when it comes into this sport, we do so many things that really go against like A&P in general and like what you're supposed to do with your body and side pressure and all these things, that we're trying to achieve, tendon density and, just general like unnatural movements that I've kind of had to almost learn, my approach to training completely over through talking to these elite guys. So I'm not even sure if what I'm doing is correct, but I'll put everything that I do out there so somebody can critique it or take it or whatever. I don't believe in, in any way, shape, or form, the protection of knowledge. I believe that, if you have some insight, that it's your duty to share it and pass it on, because we're only going to be involved for so long. And if you're worried about somebody else knowing what you're doing or your secrets, then that just means you're not training hard enough. So I think now that I've rambled on and on and on, the real crux of what I'm saying is arm wrestling training is so sport specific. It's unlike anything else. But I do believe that general strength is the absolute basis for this entire thing. And there's absolutely no way that I could have, come in and in 2 or 3 years made any form of impact if I didn't have a general strength background through like the basic core lifts and overall body strength. And I still train that wholeheartedly. And that's still really the primary focus of my training, and with arm wrestling stuff supersetted in. So that's just my philosophy on it. I'm very fluid. I'm always open to recommendations, and I'll never claim that what I'm doing is correct, because I think that's going to change from a week to week basis.
Mm-hmm. No,
Paul,
you're talking.
I agree with you a bunch of there. I want to ask you, Paul, did you see? I did a training session with Devin Larratt in the gym last weekend, and I asked that man about his specificity in training versus his broad-based power. And I don't know if you saw that man doing tricep pull-downs and doing shoulder flies, but he is so far invested into the specific nature of arm wrestling strength. And not that I don't think he has base power, but I think Devin's the best example of going all in on specific on the planet. Now, he was so gassed at that training session that I had more back pressure than him in that scenario. He went to use back pressure on 45 kilos, 100 pounds, and he couldn't lift it. And he was laughing because that's normally his warm-up weight. And the point was, even with as much lacking base power as he had in that moment because of him being beat down from his trip, when we gripped up on the table, his superior hand control was still able to just comfortably hold me. So where do you see it? Like do you Are you intrigued by people like Devin Larratt who are truly all in on hand control and specific strengths?
Absolutely. And I guess really what it comes down to for me is like, I know Devin trains and works harder than almost everyone out there. So his focus is so specific, and what he's doing, on a daily basis is so rigorous and not fun that I don't want to train that way, if that makes sense. So like, there's that piece of me that like, hey, I want to go in and do dumbbell presses. You know what I mean? Because I enjoy that. And that's kind of where my background comes from. And then I take that and I kind of, I cross-check that with the Dennis match, where that was the perfect example of somebody who is mega super strong, and that super like strength with a little bit of arm wrestling training and arm wrestling specific stuff finds a way to outweigh all that arm wrestling specific stuff. Now, not to mention there's a lot of body weight difference there. There are a lot of variables in that match. So I don't want to just chalk it up to that match. But I mean, I take a look at, in comparison, the guy Devin's pulling, Todd Hutchins. Todd Hutchins used that West Side barbell, and he uses it, for the arm wrestling specific stuff that he's doing. But, oh, by the way, the guy also squats heavy, and he was a bench press like competitor at one point, and he's strong too. So I feel like, for me, what I'm going to chase, at least at this point in time, is kind of an equal balance. And I'm doing one for one right now in the gym. I feel like I'm 1 for 1. One set of a core lift and one set of a strength-based lift with another set of an arm wrestling lift, superset the whole way through. And I'm open to changing that, and I'm open to changing it for a specific opponent if needed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love this about the sport. I started in the pure specific side. I was skinny and weak and influenced by Devin, and Devin came out with us in that my first year of arm wrestling and just guided me down that very specific route. The longer I'm in the sport, the more of the base power strength I'm adding to it, and I'm every time I've gone international, I've felt that's the reason I've lost the match. It's not been because of my specific strengths. It's been just that base pressure, back pressure, side pressure, the grounding and strength that I was lacking. So the closer I get to the level that I'm aiming for, the more I sense that I need base power. But I'm fascinated by this. I love that we only get one go at this, and it's a winding path. We can't live life twice, and we get to experiment with what we add to our game. And it often for me is shaped by the opponent that I'm chasing. So if I'm chasing a tall, lanky guy like Jordan Davis, I got a different approach compared to trying to conquer someone like Danny Tesh.
Right. Now, Ryan, I know you had talked about changing your approach. What specifically have you changed? I didn't get to see that gym session with Devin. That's on my list of 10 YouTube videos that I'm backlogged on. But have you changed anything, and have you noticed anything?
Where I'm at right now is not long ago we had Giannis Amelins come out, and he had a very scientific approach, periodization, with 4 fundamental movements of back pressure, side pressure, hand control, and down pressure. So for me, I really agreed, and I took a lot from Giannis in the fact that I'm going to now measure and give more scientific structure to my approach. Previously, I've just been go to the gym, work hard kind of guy. Combining that, I love seeing what I saw from Todd Hutchins. And so for me, I'm like halfway between a Giannis Amelins and Todd Hutchins style approach at the moment. The Devin Larratt visit just now, he was all specific. He's very much down that path. And I actually feel my grounding in my first 3 years doing that specific nature really set me well in terms of the way that I move. It's made me a versatile arm wrestler. I can pull everywhere confidently, and I don't feel weak in any given area. I feel I'm very balanced. So I now feel like I can go and make the right things strong to be able to complement all the hand control and versatility that I've got. So but for me right now, I've only done 2 sessions using Todd Hutchins style with that, adding the West Side barbell plyometrics and isometrics into a Giannis Amelin. So it's a combination of Giannis and Todd that I'm using at the moment.
All right. I'm with you there.
Strong. I feel like I'm at my strongest. That's for sure.
I'm with you there. I've never been like you said, exactly what you said. I've been kind of like, I go to the gym twice a day and I just try to work really hard and track against what I did the previous day. I don't write things down. But the West Side barbell stuff, and I was actually talking with Devin's buddy, Dom, from up there in Canada, and he's a West Side barbell guy too. And it's kind of sparked me to want to, maybe delve into that on like for the next thing that I'm going to peak for. I think it takes so much effort though. I mean, it doesn't seem like it does to write a few things down, but I guess usually when I go to the gym, that's my escape. That's where I just let everything go. And you know what I mean? For me to have to be thinking my way through a workout and logging might kill my mojo.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, 100%.
I got a question for like these guys. Big Tim Brenson, is he able to shock the world?
Yes, he is.
That's a big.
Yeah, I agree. It's doable.
340 pounds. Big Tim Brenson. Yeah, he is.
Never count that man out. And I know he's been training hard. I know he's been training very hard. And I know I believe that he is as ready as he's been. I know age is becoming a factor, I guess, but that's one of the best training groups that I've ever. The dungeon up there in Connecticut is like no other place. His buddy Ron Klemba, they have a great group of guys. Some of the guys don't get around a whole lot, and you don't know a whole lot about them. But that's exactly where Philippe Hertz. That's where I believe he moved to this country to work with those guys. And other than Dave Morocco's group in Maryland, I don't know who even contests them and how hard they work. So, and Tim's just timeless. And when he's completely trained up, he can beat anyone. He's a warrior.
For me, Tim, it's going to come down to can he get enough of a purchase? Obviously, it's going to go to straps. Tim's got that pronation defense, but can Tim keep his knuckles high enough in that initial grip negotiation? The sheer size of Levan. If Levan has high knuckles, Levan's going to just take the match. But if Tim is strong enough right now to just have equal knuckles when that ready-go happens, then I can see that stop happening 2 inches from the pad and Levan getting confused and Levan's wrist starting to go like this. And from there, yeah, Tim can win. But I think we're gonna see it in that first setup if he can get his knuckles high enough.
Tim's such a unique puller, though. His back pressure and pronation, like through his thumb pad, like this portion, he's largely a full hand top roller with no cap. So for him to really negotiate for a high knuckle is going to be really tricky with that hand setup. And largely, I mean, he doesn't seem to focus a whole lot on a high knuckle, but that pronation and back pressure through his thumb pad is like something you never felt. And then his fingers are really strong too. So he's able to keep that full hand top roll and keep containment while he's pronating and dragging the whole way back on the pad. It makes him really, really tough.
Well, I think if he can force Levan to go sideways, he'll get a stop. If Levan is just able to post and use back pressure, essentially all the way to the pad, then it's Levan's. But yeah, if he can make Levan have to go sideways, we're going to see Levan's wrist start to buckle.
Right. I can't wait for it. I'll be rooting for Tim hard for sure.
He says he's coming on Beaver Pumper.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. He's the man.
Awesome. Yeah. We're talking about animals and farming and feeding his goats and stuff. And
that's what he knows about.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So another question about people starting out, pulling frequency. You know, I just started out myself within the last little while, so I know this is going to be something that a lot of other noobs are going to want to know. How often should you pull when you're first starting out? Now, I pulled.
I'd love to answer this one.
Okay.
Sorry, I cut your question off there. I got
no. Oh, no worries. Oh, I was just curious, like what type of training frequency would you recommend for pulling every week? Is it like, I know that like, my elbows are getting pretty sore and like I get completely gassed. I can almost barely drive home, but it could have been just, I'm also doing like a bit of a weight cut. So yeah. So it was pretty bad.
My answer and experience to that, having reflected back now on my first 3 years in the sport, I think that it served me really, really well. Now, my answer to that was I actually was on the table 6 days a week for the first 3 years. And a lot of people say, how on earth were you on 6 days a week? And when I teach new guys to arm wrestle, I teach them how to arm wrestle without side pressure. Because arm wrestling without side pressure at first teaches you all of the minute movements of your hand that you can use to slow someone down, to stop someone. So Devin Larratt trains like this almost exclusively. When he does table time, you see him sit back, he points his forearm where his opponent's trying to go, and he uses superior hand control to stop them. That allows you to arm wrestle every day. It means that you're not going to bust your elbow up. A lot of people struggle with that and they just want to drive. They want to go for the pin. So if you're someone who insists on going for the pin, yeah, it's probably maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But if you arm wrestle sensibly and you listen to your connective tissue and you don't take it to the point of inflammation, it's a real opportunity to learn to arm wrestle. So I think the first 3 years, get on the table as often as you can and arm wrestle in that sense. And like I said, for me, I think it served me well because I look at the opposite approach. If you focus on strength in your first year, you're going to have very basic vectors and you'll be strong, sure, but you're going to have basic vectors. Use that first 3 years whilst you're weak and you're not particularly a strong arm wrestler yet to learn how to really understand the sport. And then once you understand it, go all in on strength on the right things.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, Paul, do you have anything to add to that? I know you I think you pull once a week, or now is that what you're still doing, or
once, twice max?
Twice max.
Yeah. So, like I said, I started up there. My first couple practices were up there with Tim Breslin and Ron Klemba, and those guys go really, really hard, like really, really hard. Like there's pins. They do king of the table at the end. Like they go super hard. So even though I was gung ho at the time, there was absolutely no way recovery-wise I was going to get on the table multiple times. And once again, I think it's a case-by-case basis. First things first, I would think anybody who's starting in the sport, right off the bat, you need to be careful about overtraining on the table. So maybe meaning like the first month or so, don't overdo it. I mean, like we've had guys leave our practice to throw up because they're literally physically upset to the stomach from the pain. Or go sit in the car with the air conditioner on. Like, don't overdo it, like that first month, learn as much as you can from watching, from gripping up, like Ryan said, back pressure without all the crazy stuff. But I think it comes in a case by case basis because I very often see a lot of guys come into the sport who maybe like from a trade, or maybe a contractor or whatever, and have a really big, strong hand. And they come in and, they're beating their buddies because their hand is just so dominant, they turn them under. And then, where they're actual like skeletal muscular, like they're not developed in those large muscle groups. And I think a lot of those guys, they might, kind of contrary to what Ryan's saying, is they might actually benefit. And I've told a lot of guys who are in their first or second year, like, we can come here and work on your top roll or your hook until you're blue in the face. But until you get a whole lot stronger, you're not going to necessarily be as competitive as you want to be. So I think it's a case by case basis. Like if you got, like I got a new guy right now, Todd Ferry. He's a beast in the gym. He's a total beast, but his hand, he came in with no wrist and hand. So we're focused totally on different things. Now, he and I might train a couple times a week just working on his hand, on the table, because his gym stuff and his muscle mass and his power is already there. So I think it can't – I think there's some general rules that you can follow for new people, like, as far as general activity and what you can and can't do. But each person has to know their own body and know their own situation. So, like I said, if you got a tiny, tiny hand and that's your weak spot or whatever the case may be, or you just have no pronation, like those are things that you can train on the table. Those are angles that you can really work on the table. But if you come in and you understand the sport of arm wrestling, but yet you have no power, then you have to go to the gym and develop power. Yeah. And you can develop power on the table. You can. But I can tell you, if you're trying to develop overall power on the table, your elbow and your tendons are going to pay for it much worse by doing it just on the table. Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Very much agree. Very much agree on a lot of that. It's I think there are so many different ways to do it. That it's very much a winding path. Like if elite is your ultimate goal, there's not an elite guy on the planet that's not training every day, or at least 6 days a week in some capacity. It's about training responsibly and not injuring yourself. If you need to ramp the pressures down, do so. But as for getting in the gym and actually moving every day, crazy.
Right.
You don't.
Yeah. Good.
A question, Ryan?
Yo.
I want to tell, well, it's not a question. I'd like to say thank you for making John Brezink say my name. It was kind of cool. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
It's a bit of a thrill for me, so thank you.
I think he backed you to win as well.
I have a bit of pressure on me now.
You better step up, King.
Yeah. I have a bad run with predictions with John too. Anytime someone predicts that I'm going to do well, I don't. So I don't like getting predictions from John or Devin or anyone.
Well, I'm bringing my balls to the table. Maybe not these ones, but I'm going to bring some to the table. If the referee says I can't have it, well, we'll have to deal with it then.
Yeah, I'll probably have to.
Schwarzenegger grabbed the finger of Devin. He got all that power. Well, I got to touch him.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. Devin Larratt is got to be one of the coolest guys on the planet. To have the balls to just say, "Hey, Arnie, pull my finger," is pretty crazy. Like, not many people would have thought of that in that moment. Most people would have been starstruck, but Devin just slips it out, pull my finger, Arnie, and away you go.
One small story, like this is one small thing I want to say. I was at work for the bottom 8, and I was sending Devin these stupid videos and sending you videos and like Herman and all those guys. I send videos out of stupid shit, the Beaver Pump and all that. And I was looking at the bottom 8, and I was at work, and I see like those Devin and John were talking, and the 5th guy is going to be someone no one knows. I wasn't expecting me to be in this thing. So God bless the Devin. I'm going to meet a lot of good people. Win or lose, I'm a winner because I'm a lucky guy. So that's all I got to say. Lucky to meet you guys.
Hey man, you're a character. You're a character, and that's why I support you. You're from a different place, and I love it. And you're not scared to say what you do for a living. And how you are, and you wear it on your sleeves, and you're a genuine person. So people tend to get behind that type of stuff. So, I mean, my hat's off to you. My hat's off to you for having the balls to do this too, and to step out on a limb.
Break my arm, but I could break my arm.
You're not breaking your arm. You're not breaking your arm. Stop that. It's not happening.
No. Anyways, I think one guy's frozen in the middle. I think Ryan's frozen.
Oh, Ryan's frozen? Okay.
For a bit there.
Yeah,
I scared him.
No, it might have just been he hasn't dropped off.
Ryan, you there?
Oh, okay. No, he did drop off. So we're gonna give him a minute. But I went to the comment section for questions here. I'm just gonna do a quick little gander and wait for him to reconnect.
So how did you beat a monster like at the Arnold's? Because you and Moser, that guy is a monster.
I got yelled at by a lot of guys after our first match. I lost the first match in the first day.
Yeah.
So I changed my setup a little bit and committed to basically a different setup and a different move after the go. Rather than trying to initiate, I kind of changed knuckle positioning, hand positioning. And I do think the second day, because I cut a good amount of weight, the second day being heavier definitely played. I mean, I think the second day I was like 214 in the 198 class. So all the water was back, and I felt pretty good the second day. I felt good the first day too, so there's no excuses.
No.
And Dan felt like a beast that first day for sure. So I think I forget how many matches I had to pull to get back to him. But I think I wound up pulling like 10 or 11 matches to come out of the B side. But luckily, I was able to kind of maintain. That second day, my endurance just felt good. I felt on point with that. So I was blessed to have some good advice by Dave Morocco and Storm Chelino and Bill Logsdon and everybody else, and Barry Hurst, who was yelling at me, like, what were you doing in the setup? What were you doing? Are you sleeping? So, you live and you learn. But yeah, it was a great experience. It was a great experience. I wouldn't change anything.
He's a strong man, eh?
He's unbelievable, and he's fast, and his hands huge hands. What's that?
Yeah.
You hardly ever.
Okay, I think Ryan's coming back here, so give it a second.
It was awesome. So.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a great guy too.
Yeah.
Back again.
Okay, back again. There. And probably did.
Yeah. Sorry about that. My phone overheated. I'm sitting here with the phone on the dash of my truck, and it's kind of, even though it's not summer, Australia's trying to pretend it's still summer down here. So,
yeah, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, or 11 now almost. Yeah.
How hot is it out there, Ryan?
Yeah. It's probably, what is it in Fahrenheit? We're probably a 90, 95 or something like that.
Oh my goodness! Wow. I got ice on my pool cover right now.
And us northerners up here, we still got some snow on the ground and lots of snow banks. It's starting to melt though, but yeah, today was a nice day.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking
what did
forward
I
to
miss?
the summer.
Anything worthy?
It was asked about Paul and Mosier at the Arnolds, and then yeah. So
yeah.
So Ryan, give us an update. What's coming from Next Level?
Next Level. Yeah, you guys may have seen it. I put out a post yesterday. Next Level. They are an international apparel company. I met with them at the Arnold's Classic on Sunday, the final Sunday of the Arnold's Classic. And the good thing is, I got to meet the general manager. He actually came across and saw Devin because he recognized Devin, and wanted to have a chat. And Devin's like, "Dude, you got to speak to Ryan. He's like doing a lot of things with Pound for Pound. That sounds like a perfect marry-up." So they're after branding. We're after Pound for Pound is after a brand partner. So I can't give the exact details yet, but I can say that we have made a handshake agreement that is going to have a significant impact on Pound for Pound in terms of everything that we're doing. So it's really cool. Their T-shirts, I'm actually wearing one now. They're super, super high quality stuff.
That's what we use. That's what we use.
They're an international brand that's already being worn by like CrossFit Games and stuff.
If you're getting a discount, Ryan, you better put me in. That's what we use. This is the Next Level. I want a discount.
Oh, nice. So is that who you guys use already? I didn't even know that.
60/40s and tri-blends only. I won't wear anything else.
Perfect. Yeah, they're good. They're good. Well, there we go. Now it makes sense why I've always loved Lethal Arms T-shirts. Every time I put one on, I'm like, oh my goodness, they're so good.
I won't buy a different shirt. I won't do it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. So now we're on the same page with that. But there is going to be some good things. Like I said, there some really good things are going to come out of that relationship, and we'll probably have signed agreements between Next Level and Pound for Pound. And yeah, we'll no doubt see a whole lot of Next Level branding in Fights Unleashed and all the digital stuff that we're putting out. Like At the moment, numbers are good. I tell you, pound for pound numbers are great. We're getting for the last month, we've averaged 2.5 million views a week on pound for pound content. So numbers are really good, way better than I was anticipating. And it's just, we're reaching a new audience that we've never reached before. So it's exciting, and we'll keep that momentum going. And so having a brand to be able to benefit from all that is perfect, because we've got all that attention and no branding to go with it. So we're going to change that.
Awesome.
That's great.
Good stuff.
Awesome. So yes, we're coming up on time there now. I'm just gonna take a look to see if there's any questions come up from the audience here. And
last drinks.
Yeah. Okay. So So it doesn't look like there's any more questions in the audience. So I'm gonna we got more just comments here. We got some funny stuff.
So just a little talking point. We have the second annual Keystone State Championship coming up under the World Arm Wrestling League. I know there's probably a bunch of people watching that. So we actually had Bleacher Report Live was supposed to be doing a live feed for it. I know this ain't a great forum to talk about it, but I'm sure there's some people on it. We can explain it. Bleacher Report Live contacted Steve Kaplan and said that they didn't have a slot due to March Madness in basketball. So we wound up, and I wanted to let you know, Ryan, that I know I shot you a text and everything. So now we're pretty much open to film and do highlights or whatever from this event. So we've already got like 155 people, arm wrestlers, committed to come. That's on Facebook. I got to think a quarter of that ain't going to show up, but I think we're going to have a 250 entry tournament with like some mega superstars too. So we'll have Arm Wrestling TV there. We'll have Pound for Pound. We paid a production crew to come in to do a Facebook Live on the WAL Facebook page. So we're aiming to make this even bigger than Bleacher Report Live was going to be. So
yeah, well, that's the beautiful thing right now. I think it's so good. We've got so many good arm wrestling channels going on. The coverage of the sport is better than it's ever been. And funnily enough, without being on any mainstream ESPN or anything like that, we are hitting numbers globally now that is awesome. And so I can tell you right now, it was so exciting. At the Arnold's Classic, I would say at least 20% of people at the Australian Arnold's Classic recognized who Devin Larratt was.
That's great.
So it's so cool. It's so cool to see the sport really taking hold.
So Paul, are we going to see you in the wall tournament?
Oh, this weekend?
No, soon.
Oh, I don't know. That's up to the powers that be.
Hey?
That's up to the powers that be. I'm sitting. I'm happy. I enjoy what I'm doing in arm wrestling. If I get that opportunity, I'll definitely take it, like any other opportunities. But I guess we'll see.
We'll
see. I'll be glad to if they have me. I'll be glad to.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'd like to say thank you. Like, I have to pinch myself to get some. Like, you guys are amazing. Like this is just a small podcast that I started by stupid videos about 6 months ago with Devin. And he liked one of my videos for a joke. I said, Devin, I liked the video. I was all happy. My girlfriend, look at that, Devin. I'm a big arm wrestling fan, and now I'm doing this with the pound to pound guy and the Arnold Classic winner. Thank you.
So I think just if I can say this, so like the bottom 8, like early on, I think everybody thought, oh, what is this craziness? It's silly, blah blah blah. But the bottom 8 is gaining more traction for arm wrestling as a whole than the top 8 ever will, for sure, because you guys have kind of gathered 8 of the unique and most influential people in arm wrestling, like Devin said, and it's 100% true. And when you put them all together, and then you take different platforms like Pound for Pound, like Artem's channel, all that stuff, you're reaching so many more people with this. Plus, you're adding personality rather than just having the athletic ability. And I think there's value in that too. I think Devin understands that. So, hey, King, my hat's off to you, man. Your personality is incredible. I'm behind you. I hope you win the whole damn thing. And Ryan, obviously, I'm behind you. What you're doing is just incredible. I'm 100% behind you.
Anyway,
appreciate it, man.
I can't believe that you said yes. So thank you. Both of you.
King and King, I'm gonna try. I can't make any promises, King, but I am gonna try. I was talking about it with Devin over the weekend. I'm gonna try to convince John Brzenk to come up to the bottom 8 to be like the ultimate boss. So whoever wins bottom 8 has to then get their ass kicked by John Brzenk to just remind them that we are still bottom 8.
I'd love it. That'd be the best.
And then we're gonna have.
That'd be great.
So Big Frank.
Balls, man.
Yeah, Big Frank can be the ultimate boss for the ultimate loser. So the ultimate loser gets Big Frank, and the ultimate winner gets John Brzenk.
Hey guys, this is why Devin liked me right here. Get your balls in, balls out, balls in, yeah, balls out. I got my balls in, yeah, I got my balls.
Oh, you know it.
You don't even know what I'm talking about. I like the balls out thing. I don't.
Yeah.
Keep your balls on the table.
Great show, guys. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Have yourselves a great night. Take care.